The town of Rainbow in Victoria's northwest is a fly speck on the map, on the road to nowhere. The first sign of arrival is the grain silos. The town had high hopes when founded in the early 1900s. It still has 2 pubs and a supermarket, but little more for its 700 or so residents. 10 minutes drive from Rainbow, past clumps of trees, flocks of sheep and paddocks waiting to spring into life, is Werrip, my mother's birthplace. Werrip was never a town, just a school, a Methodist chapel and hall. However, it did field a cricket team, this one of 1903, with my grandfather, Charles Hellyer, standing third right. In 1910, the Hellyer family moved onto a new farm and a newly built house called Torella. My mother, Gertrude Minnie Hellyer, was born that same year, named after 2 favoured aunts. As you approached Torella down a dusty road, there were some rudimentary sheds adjacent to the homestead. It was constructed with thick outer walls of rammed earth, sandwiched between an external skin of corrugated iron and decorative inner steel sheets. In the mid-1980s, my mother talked about Torella at the then derelict site. I held the microphone while my brother Mike operated the camera.
I often think what a lot of work my mother must have had to do, because she did the washing on that back veranda, and it was a long time before she had any sort of washing machine, and she finally got one that you had a lever on it and sort of pumped up and down. Yeah. And she would have to do the cooking over here, and we'd be pulled in to help. But I have a feeling there must have been another room between this place here and the house, because there always seemed to be somewhere where there was a tray full of fresh bread or scones. She was great for making cheese, scones.
The house had no running water, no power and a party line telephone. The pan toilet was next to a small hay barn, terrifyingly some 30 metres from the house. This painting is by my mother. For this studio portrait, 6 of the 10 Hellyer kids put on their Sunday best. The Hellyer kids rode or walked across the dunes and paddocks to Werrip's one-room school. In the mid-70s, my mother's older brother Arch talked about his school days.
So, where did you go to school?
Over the hill up here.
To
Werrip school.
To Werrip. Now, do all the Hellyers go to school there?
Yeah.
How far did that go? How many grades did that go to?
8.
Fairly good.
Mm-hmm.
More than I thought.
Yeah.
That was one of the one-room schools, was it?
Yeah. Grade 8. Down to the toddlers.
And I dare say you didn't have a school bus to come and pick you up.
No. Had to walk Shanks' pony. You know what that is?
Shanks's pony?
Yeah.
I don't think it means you took a horse with you.
No.
You hoofed it.
Yeah, hoofed it. Legs.
And how far would that be?
About 5 miles from here.
The Hellyer boys were the backbone of the victorious Rainbow Ramblers cricket team of 1934. Sport played a big part of their home life, as my mother recalled.
The other side of that big barn and between the old sheds, but those old sheds were not always all there, but it was a hard earth tennis court. A lot of play was made on that. And on Sundays, having 7 brothers, there'd always be young people around on Sundays, and only 2 girls. See? I think we all played cricket, but I know there always seemed to be a lot of men about. And then they'd have a shooting thing. There was a target up here, and they'd be shooting at a tin on a pole out here.
Charles Hellyer, here with his oldest daughter Aileen and looking very much the Edwardian father, died of tetanus in 1924. Very soon after, my mother left school at just 14.
I think the idea of parents in those days thought, well, all right, boys went to work or did the work, the outside work. The women stayed home and they milked the cows and made the butter and fed the pigs and gathered the eggs.
She had no illusions about what was expected of a dutiful daughter.
But I do remember those cows. Those cows. I thought just about the worst thing that could happen to any female was to have to milk a cow. I didn't mind bringing them home so much.
Did you?
Bring them home. I had to, sometimes. It's probably like the washing up, you'd get out when you could.
She met my father on the tennis court while holidaying at Healesville. But she was never a country girl and soon moved to Melbourne. Pat, as she now called herself, married Jack in 1935 and had me, Judith, their first child, in 1937. She never again took the road to Rainbow except for holidays and family events such as her mother's 80th. But her children developed a lifelong connection to the town. Many family members visited over the years, often bringing their own children. Some stayed at Torella, then the home of Uncle Arch, shown here on Torella's front veranda. He never married and had a leg injury sustained in a farming accident as a young man. When we returned in later years, the house had been vandalised but showed some signs of its past. The shearing shed, once a hive of activity, was still standing when this was shot in the mid-70s. By the 2000s, it was a decayed skeleton of its former self. Rainbow retains some of its charm, but the town is dwindling. There's little to hold young people. The rail line was suspended in 2010, but the grain trains are rolling again in 2020 thanks to a line upgrade. Currently, there are no Helliers farming in the district. But come harvest time, the silos will be working overtime, with trucks unloading the district's bounty to be taken on the road from Rainbow to world markets.